The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Well, Mr Speaker, it's an absolute pleasure to stand in the House and talk about the great budget delivered by the Minister of Finance, the Honourable Bill English. This was a budget that was focused on the things that matter to New Zealand, just as this government has been focused on that from the day we were sworn into office in 2008. So this budget represents, again, excellent management of the country's finances, even in the continuing tough times that we are experiencing.
That's right.
We're seeing continued economic growth that most other developed countries are envious of. We're seeing restraint in government spending from a government that's shown that right through the global financial crisis, and a complete contrast to the people sitting on the other side of the House that when they had the very best of economic times spent it willy-nilly and really had little to show for it. This government is focused on making sure that every single dollar of taxpayers' money we spend is effective and is getting results for New Zealanders. So we're seeing growth in employment, low inflation, low interest rates and low cost of living increases for New Zealanders. We have seen the lowest number of sole parents on a benefit in this country since 1988. That is absolutely outstanding, and it just goes to show what a wonderful job those people working in MSD are doing, working carefully with these mainly women going back into the workforce, but also the desire of New Zealanders to be standing on their own 2 feet and supporting their families in independent, making their own decisions about their own lives. And that's what this government is focused on doing. It's against that background of good economic management and good cooperation and work with New Zealanders who have found themselves out of work that we were able to then focus on the children that we know are not living the sorts of lives we all expect New Zealand children to be able to live. And so we were able in this budget to dedicate a package of $790 million over the next 4 years, very focused on those families and where children are experiencing hardship who are earning the least in our communities. And so the package over the next 4 years will deliver along with increased work obligations for our sole parents. So yes, we are saying when your youngest child turns 3, we want you to be out there looking for part-time work. And against that, we're increasing the amount of support that we put in around those parents to help them do it. Now, that doesn't mean if they can't find a job that suits them and their family that we're going to be hard. Of course, each individual person will be worked with and supported into work, Mr. Speaker. As well as that, we're saying to them, part-time work needs to be 20 hours. If you can get 20 hours work, it lifts you up into working for families, and we're seeing more and more of our sole parents getting into that space and are able to come off a benefit and stand on their own 2 feet. And that's what we want for more of them. And Mr. Speaker, I say watch this space, because New Zealanders will take advantage of this, and those men and women who are sole parents now, we will see them moving off and into work, and we will see those better outcomes for their young children. The package increases the benefit rates by $25 a week from 1 April next year, and I cannot believe that the incredible stories that are coming into my office from people telling me the difference it's going to make in their lives. $25 a week when you're a sole parent getting $301 a week, an extra $25 a week will make an enormous difference coming in every week for the choices that they have to make about how they can spend their money and support their children. And that's a great thing that this government has done. Even in the best of economic times, Labor did not support those people on benefit by giving them an increase. Even in the very best, when they had billions of dollars every year to spend, they did not support those beneficiaries when it was very clear that they were falling behind even the CPI increase. This government legislated to make automatic We have stood beside those most vulnerable families in New Zealand since we came into the Treasury benches. In addition to that, so that's 190,000 children in New Zealand from 1 April next year will see an extra $25 a week going into their household. But we didn't just leave it at that, because we know, although two-thirds of the families, two-thirds of those children experiencing hardship are in benefit-dependent families, there are good, hard-working families out there with children who are also very low income, and their children are suffering too. And so we supported those children by increasing the Working for Family payments. And I think that's a tremendous thing, and I have to say the reaction out there in the community has been overwhelming, both from people who are on the benefits, but also from those working families that are going to get a huge difference in their life. But we didn't stop there, Mr. Speaker, because as well as that, in the budget there was significant help for a wider variety of children, perhaps some of the most vulnerable children in our communities and those that are in state care. So we had an increase of $35.8 million to support the Children's Action Plan over the next 4 years. Those are the children that are just below those that require statutory care. My colleague Paula Bennett started setting those up throughout New Zealand as a result of a very long process. Community is very concerned about making sure we get in early and work with these families and prevent these children from being abused. And this government was able to support them with a significant sum of money, $35.8 million over the next 4 years. We're also modernising SIF, so there was $5.8 million in this budget to help with that modernisation project. We've got an expert panel having a look at the system that we put around our fabulous SIF workers out there who are doing one of the most difficult jobs in our communities. That is making sure that young children are safe when they cannot be left at home with their families, when they are being abused or neglected by the very people that they should be trusting to give them the best of care. Then the SIF workers have to step in and take those children and find them a safe and caring home and get the work to come in and support the families to get to the stage where those children can go back and live. So there was $5.7 million over 4 years, $5.8 million, to help with that modernisation project. There was $5.7 million in this budget to support, over the next 4 years, to support quite a small group of young people in state care who have very high needs, very complex issues, and so it's described as one-to-one therapeutic placements for these SIF children with the highest of needs. Mr. Speaker, these children have complex needs that need that one-on-one care. It's very expensive, and the budget provides for a small number of those children to get that ongoing care over the next 4 years. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, this budget does so much to support the most vulnerable people in our communities, which is our children. That's right. And we hear a lot of talk in this House about vulnerable children, children living in hardship, children in poverty. Well, I'm proud to be a part of a government that has made that the centrepiece of its 2015 budget, against a setting of a growing economy that's producing more jobs, and that means that the government is able to take more care of those at the very bottom, the most vulnerable children in our community.